Let's make a specimen folio today with my inspired papers from a good friend, Judy. Hi everyone, Patty here. You can find this digital folio on my Etsy shop, and today I want to show you how to assemble the pages. I printed this out on 28-pound paper, a little heavier than normal printer paper on my best setting on my printer. Some of the pages are marked with directions, print on the back side of design. I have 2 background pages for you to choose from when printing on the back side of the designs. You will receive 10 pages to make this folio. Cut each piece out and ink the edges so no white lines are showing. I did try to leave a border on some of the panels just in case you don't cut it straight or you don't adhere it to the panel straight, so there is room for a little mess up. I'm using vintage photo oxide ink from Tim Holtz to ink all of my edges. This is a great project to do while watching videos or your favorite TV show. It takes a little bit of time to ink the edges, but I think it's well worth the effort. The circles for the coin envelopes can easily be punched out using a 1/2-inch hole punch. There are 6 included in the digital kit, enough to use 2 for each of the 3 coin envelopes, either by backing them with cardstock for sturdiness or by layering 3 circles for a thicker closure. If you'd like an even sturdier closure, feel free to punch a few extra circles from heavy cardstock. Recycling something like a cat food box works perfectly for this. The size and weight are just right for the job. Glue the circles together, ink the edges, and let these dry while we are getting the other pieces ready to assemble. Here's all of your pieces cut and all of the edges inked. We're ready to assemble. I go through my stack and put them in an order of which ones need to be scored on my scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, just fold on the edges that are clearly marked for each coin envelope, envelopes, and pockets. My scoreboard lines do not match up with the numbers. It's a knockoff brand, and clearly you get what you pay for. I have tried to go and add black felt tip pen marks on some of the lines so I can get a straight score, but over time that has wore off and I need to remark a couple of the spots I use often. But like I said, if you don't have a scoreboard, the lines are clearly marked where you will need to fold each piece. Use a bone folder or scoring tool to make a nice crisp fold on each piece. I want to show how I cut out the page tabs. I like to loosely cut them out and then fold them. I go back and cut the edges while the tab is folded together so I don't have any white paper showing on either side of the page tabs. This also makes it easier to cut around the top portion of the tab and get both sides of the tab to match. Don't forget to ink those edges. You will follow these steps to cut out all 3 tabs. Let's put the pocket coin envelope together. The pieces are cut, inked, scored, and we have cut our coin circles all ready to go. Fold on the score lines and use your bone folder or scoring tool to crease the folds to get a nice crisp edge. Re-ink any areas that may need a little touch-up. This is going to be a pocket with a double-tag journal card to fit into the pocket. I'm inking the back side of the main body of the folio. It's a good idea to ink down the score lines also, so it's easier to see where our pockets and ephemera will go. Fold at your score lines and get a nice crisp edge. I go ahead and do this small panel at the same time, scoring the lines and folding them to make a nice crisp edge, and of course inking those edges. When adding the 3 panels that will fit into the main body of your folio, you will find the center is just 1/8 of an inch larger than the other 2 panels. You can put your panels together and see which one is the center because it's a little larger than the other 2. The other 2 panels you can decide which one you want on which side. They are both the same size. Glue these main panels to the main panel board. I glued around the edges with the brand of glue that's called art glitter glue. This is a great glue that doesn't warp your paper and holds just about anything. Then I like to take my glue stick and smear the glue down the center of the panel. That way I don't have any lumps or heavier areas of glue in one spot. You could take this to your sewing machine and sew around the panels. That would give you an interesting texture on the back side of the folio also. But for this demonstration, I will just be gluing the panels down with the art glitter glue and the glue stick. Do this for all 3 panels, making sure you get them as straight as you can. Like I said previously, we do have an extra thick border around each panel, so if you don't get it exactly, it still will look great. This is starting to look like a 3-fold folio, but we want to add that flip-out small panel to the front of this folio. This flip-out will not only be a flip-out, but also a double-sided pocket to hold a folded journaling card. Make sure your 3-fold folio folds nicely. Let's put the small flip-out double-sided pocket together next. Fold all of your scored lines. Find your 2 smaller panels and decide which one will be the cover of your folio. The side with the 1 flap is where the front will be. Add your glue and glue the 2 smaller panels onto the flip-out back panel. I do this the same way as I did the main panels with the art glitter glue and the glue stick to smooth out the glue lines down the center of the panels. We are ready to attach this flip-out panel to the body of the folio. Fold the two pieces on the right side of the panel into the panel to form a pocket. We will glue this together in a minute. But first I want to put a notch in the top of this flip-out pocket so it will be easier to pull out our journaling card. I could see adding information on this journaling card about specimens that were in bloom in your garden, or maybe even add a flower to this journal card and let it dry for a later time. Make sure you ink the notch we took out of the top of this flip-out double-sided pocket on both sides. Line this up and make sure it's going to fit. Decide where you want to put the flip-out pocket. I did go back and add some ink around the top of the inside of the pocket because when you pull the journal card out, it will show a little. Glue the pocket together on the two areas for the pocket and fold the pocket in half. As you will notice, that leaves the pocket with the side of the pocket with one flap left to adhere to the main body. Make sure your pocket opens and you don't get too much glue on those pocket flaps and glue your pocket shut. Like we do that. You may want to put your bone folder down into the pocket to make sure all is well. Now let's add the flip-out double pocket to the main body of the folio. Line up the side with one flap with the front of the body of your folio and glue it onto the inside of the main folio. You can either glue it down at the bottom of the folio page or in the center of the folio. I like mine in the center of the folio, but you get to choose how you want this to flip open. Add a thin line of glue down this flap and add to the body, making sure that the double-sided pocket folds nicely and closes over the main body of the folio. We will be adding a tuck spot down this little glue line, so you won't see a thing on the inside of this. I'm ready to make the specimen card closure for the folio. This piece is folded in half and you will cut a 1-inch circle out of the center of the piece. You will need a piece of acetate, 4 eyelets, 1-inch hole punch, and elastic cord for this piece. So gather the pieces and we can assemble them into a specimen card closure. After I folded this piece in half, I marked the center on the inside of the folded over piece, for my mark wouldn't show on the front of the circles. I still didn't punch it perfectly into the center, but you can go back and adjust the sides to make it look centered. Just make sure you have enough room to add your eyelets to the sides of the specimen card. You will also need to cut a piece of the acetate to fit your hole, approximately 2 inches by 2 inches. To make your specimen card closure truly unique and personalized for your journal, think of it as a tiny canvas for creativity. After sandwiching a dried flower between the acetate layers, consider adding pressed leaves, feathers, or even fragments of lace for extra dimension. You might stamp the acetate with a delicate script, botanical illustrations, or the word specimen #1 in archival ink to add a vintage flair. Customize the cardstock surrounding the window with distress inks, watercolor washes, or metallic accents that match your journal's color palette. If you're handy with a needle, add a border of hand stitching or zigzag machine stitching around the edges for texture and a homespun touch. You could tuck a tiny handwritten label or inspirational quote inside the pocket behind the acetate. For the eyelets, choose ones in brass, copper, or even colorful enamel to tie into your overall theme. Thread the closure with coordinating elastic cord, twine, or a delicate ribbon. You might even hang a tiny charm. Think a miniature key, leaf, or bead from the cord before knotting it in place. Finally, incorporate a scent by pressing a few drops of essential oil onto the back of the specimen card, or use scented paper for the backing. Every detail, from the materials you use to the finishing touches, can reflect your story and style, ensuring that each specimen closure you create is one of a kind and perfectly tailored to your journal spirit. Glue your acetate into the specimen card and close the piece up, using some of my tips I shared with you while I was cutting this piece out. You should let the glue dry before you try to punch holes in the wet glue and set your eyelets. Add an eyelet to all four corners of the specimen card. In my last video, Cut, Paste, and Create Together for our August planner, I shared these two-piece eyelets. I really like these eyelets. I no longer have a bad side and a good side to my eyelets. Both sides are smooth to the touch and no rough edges. This is a game changer for me, as I did every project without eyelets because I could never get a good setting. I found these on Amazon by doing a search for eyelets with washers. They didn't cost much more than the regular eyelets. I highly recommend them. The ones I'm using are in antique brass 4mm size. We are ready to string the elastic cord through the eyelets to form over the folio so it will slide on and off the folio for our closure. I decided to use the purple elastic cord, as this digital has purple and red throughout the theme. Black would look good also, but my black elastic cord was too thick. The one I'm using is probably a 1mm cord. The package doesn't say the size of the cord, just the length of the cord on the card. It doesn't need to be too bulky for this small folio. It was easier to determine the length of the cord after I strung it through the eyelets and wrapped it around the folio to see how much I needed. I didn't measure, just went with the thickness of the folio. I cut a little longer and then tried to wrap it around the folio before I cut it smaller after tying the ends off. It's elastic, so it was forgiving. It just needs to be tight enough to stay on the folio and not too tight to make the folio buckle or wrinkle. Trim off any elastic and our closure is finished. The flower on the front didn't stand out enough under my specimen closure, so I went around it with a micron pin to give it a little heavier line and make it stand out a bit. With several of the tips I gave before on adding the acetate stamping, dried flowers, etc., you may not even want to take this step. That is the fun of this type of project, is making it your own and creating something that works in your own journal. We need to cover the tab from the double-sided flip pocket on the inside of our folio before gluing this belly band to the folio. You could put a piece of tape over the glued double-sided pocket tab. That way your insert would smoothly go into the tuck spot and not get hung up on the tab. I didn't do this step, but it's a good idea. Glue the belly band on 3 sides, top, bottom, and right side, leaving the left side open so we can use it as a tuck spot. We need to add some ephemera to this folio, but first let's add a pocket. The pocket with the sunflower will go on next. You can add brads to the corners, or you can leave them off. I thought it was a nice addition to this folio. You need to make sure you put your brads far enough into the side so the prongs of the brads do not stick out over the edge. I had two brads that were too close to the edge and had to trim them off with a pair of cutters. The brad prongs cut easily, but if you move them into the pocket just a little bit more, you wouldn't have to worry about cutting off any prongs. I'm using paper tape that I get in the section where you find Band-Aids to cover up my prongs. This helps the ephemera to move in and out of the pocket without getting caught up on the brad prongs. This is also where I see a couple of my brad prongs were sticking out, and I trimmed them with the cutters. Trim off any excess tape and your pocket is ready to add to this side of the folio. The dragonfly up in the corner of this page needs to be highlighted with my black micron pen to make it stand out more. This is an optional step, but I thought it added to my folio. Glue the pocket to the page, gluing only the two corners of the pocket. Leave the top and side open so you can add your journaling card. Add to the bottom left side of the folio panel. We will add 2 tuck spots in the center of the folio. I added a little more vintage photo to the creases of the folio so I could see where to glue my tuck spots. Defining the edge of the middle panel helped in placing the tuck spots. They fit perfectly in the center of the panel with a little excess on each side for easy folding of the folio. The first one is glued to the center panel of the folio on the bottom, and the second one is about 2 inches from the top of this bottom tuck spot. We are putting them closer to the bottom because we don't want our coin envelopes to stick out over the top of the folio. Pull out the coin envelope pocket, and let's get it glued together and put it onto our folio. I just eyeballed the placing of the round coins used for the closure for this pocket, one on the flap and one on the body of the envelope. We want to add this before we glue the pocket together, or it makes it harder to add the coins for the closure on the body of the envelope. Find the center of the coins and add a hole with your awl or needle. Insert a brad into the coin and through the coin envelope. Again, I use some of the paper tape over the prongs of the brad, so any ephemera we add to our pocket will go in smoothly and not get caught up on the prongs. After putting the brad through the top flap, you have another piece that you can glue over the flap, so when you open the flap, you see this and not the brad prongs. Even though we have taped them down, this gives your flap a more finished look. Add another piece of the purple elastic cording to the coins and weave the elastic back and forth between the two coins to close the envelope. Trim off any excess elastic. Glue this on 3 sides of the coin envelope back, leaving the top open so we can use it as a pocket also. This goes on to the inside far left panel of the folio. Make sure your folio still folds up nicely. We can add the 2 tabs that are the same to this folded journaling card. Add 1 tab the front of the journaling card and the second to the back of the folded journaling card. This gives it some dimension and added areas to add some words across the top. I changed up my digital a little after making this prototype, and you do have more words to use on your tabs, and you have another piece of ephemera to add to your folio to make this a one-of-a-kind specimen folio. The tag that goes onto the pocket coin envelope, I've added an eyelet to one side of the folded over tag and used a bulb pin with some ribbon to add to the eyelet. We have a little area left up top from the coin envelope pocket and tag that we can add another pocket or piece for decoration. I outlined this pansy with my micron pin and made this a pocket as well, only gluing on 3 sides, leaving the top open to insert something later. Glue the 2 coin envelopes for the center tuck spot and add those. You could add another coin to the envelopes to make closures on these also. I chose not to do this on this folio. Glue the side flaps first and then the bottom flap up over the 2 sides. Great, this is really starting to take shape, and look at all of the areas we have to fill with specimens from our garden. We still have our envelopes that will tuck into the belly band on the far right inside panel. Fold the 2 flaps into the envelope and add glue to the bottom sides of the flaps. Fold the bottom up and your envelope is finished. Do this to both envelopes. For the journaling card that goes into the double-sided flip-out pocket, you can add the whale tab to the top of this journaling card and add the word specimen to the top of the whale tab. The whale tab makes it pull out easily from the pocket. Slide your closure over the top and your folio is finished, and full of places to add some beautiful specimens from the garden. A quick flip through of our finished folio. And I decided to add the 2 circles we punched from the closure would be glued together and put into the coin envelope pocket. Or you could put them into the little pocket above it. You could also add a little clamp to keep the folio closed, or to add a little more ribbon and a dangle to the folio. Here's where the fun keeps going on when you decide to call it finished. I do like a little ribbon added to the bullpin and the bullnose clamp. It adds a little texture and color to our gorgeous folio. I hope you enjoy this project. Thanks for watching. Bye now.